Hey, Eric.
Hey, John, how's it going tonight?
It is going well. I am nowhere near as tired as I was last week, which is hopefully a good thing.
Yeah. I am trying to sound a little bit more awake this week for sure. And a little bit less echoey. Hopefully I've figured out my echoey problem. Is it echoey? Reverby?
Reverby.
I spent a little time earlier messing with my mic setup. So
Did you hang a blanket behind you or in front of you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
Okay.
I hung a blanket behind me.
Okay.
Kind of wrapped it around the monitors and stuff because I have a lot of flat walls in my office where my stuffs is.
You need more crap on your desk like me.
A point for
let's say
we should just move on.
don't insult me too much. So hey, I ran into one of your pet peeves just a few minutes ago before I came down here to the basement to record.
I am curious to hear which one.
Which peeve? So I go to create I was creating an online account and using one password, set the password, and then it asks you to relog in. I log in and bad password. I'm like, what? Well, maybe I have it wrong. And so I actually still had the password in my buffer. So I paste it. I'm like, no, that's the right thing. And so I do it again. Same thing. Do it again the third time, and I'm pretty upset at this point. And by the way, I was racing my battery because I cut to the end. I lost, but I did manage to get the password set. But the deal was it was one of those sites that was silently truncating the password behind the scenes before saving it. And I I think the second or third time I tried it, I had gotten rid of the special characters because there were a couple of curly braces and stuff like that in the password, and so I was like, well, let's make it longer. Bad move. Let's make it longer and give it a bunch more digits. and no, that didn't work either. And then eventually I figured it out by. I think it was the third time I did it. There was, the iPhone has the little reveal on a secret field, and I revealed it. I'm like, that seems shorter than I expected. Anyway, but I know that you have complained about that to me before, and I was like, yep. Yes. That was a particularly egregious one because it was one of those silent failures that you're like, how did I do that wrong? I couldn't have done that wrong. What did I do?
Exactly. And I was just on a site this week. So in the realm of first world problems, we ended up getting my oldest daughter a vehicle. So we have a new car in the house again. And we bought it from a dealer. It's a Subaru Crosstrek. It's a nice little car, all-wheel drive. I like it. But they have, the newer Subarus all have this My Subaru account that you create and you link it up, and it's supposed to, keep track of, vehicle health and all sorts of interesting things that you can do with it.
Okay.
You cannot cut and paste passwords in their website.
Hate that.
So I've got my big, nice, long password, and I have to manually type it. Which means pretty much I stop what I'm trying to. I stop creating the account on the phone because that's really frustrating trying to type and then swap between one password and see what you're. Because I can't have two windows open on my phone yet.
You need iPad OS and an iPad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get home, I get the thing, and it's just infuriating. So yeah, I had some password. Pet peeves of my own this last week.
Yeah, frustrating. Anyway, I thought you'd appreciate that because I know that I have heard you shake your fist at the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly around just passwords in general. But I did have some good things this week.
Yeah?
Well, I don't know if it's good because I'm getting to the point where birthdays are a negative indicator, trailing indicator, leading indicator of something.
You're a good ways on the other side of the bell curve, my friend.
That's right. I'm on the downward slope.
It's okay.
Anyways.
Okay. It's all good.
But I am a wallet minimalist, and
I'm a Costanzaist. Is that a thing?
Yes. I wasn't going to say it, but yes.
That's okay.
You are Costanza. We need to look that up so the youngins listening to the podcast will know what that means. But anyways, it's this really cool. It's a Bellroy wallet that is about the size of a Raspberry Pi, but only a third as high. And I liked that little rhyme, so I even wrote it down.
The size of a Raspberry Pi. Pies aren't that small. You mean without the case?
Credit card. Oh yeah. Without the case, like just the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Right. So it's basically not too much bigger than a credit card. So it's enough to hold the handful of credit cards and cards that I use, and that's it. Fantastic. And I like it very much.
Wow, very cool.
And then in other news, we went and saw Spiderman Far From Home.
Oh.
I enjoyed it very much.
We should talk about that towards the end so that we could
yes, so we don't spoil it.
Stop, just in case we spoil it.
I know you just saw it too.
Yeah, I went to a late afternoon / early evening showing tonight. So
yeah, we went last night. Anyways, but one of the trailers was for Terminator Dark Fate because you just can't have enough Terminator movies. But it looked cool enough that my oldest daughter, the one with the new vehicle, has had her interest piqued, but she hasn't seen any of the other Terminator movies.
Oh.
You know, she's heard the meme. She's like, she didn't even know that the "I'll be back" was from Terminator. She says, "Is that the one from there? I know he's the guy that says it." So I have been trying to figure out what should I show her, if I should show her any of the other ones, or just let her go into it completely cold and just kind of explain the characters before we go in.
I mean, given that what they show in the trailer, I think you have to show 1 and 2. So 1, so you meet Schwarzenegger, and his whole character, and then 2, so. I mean, spoiler alert, it's a 20-year-old movie, but, hey, kidding. 2, so you get to see sort of the Schwarzenegger redemption and the that whole Quicksilver Terminator thing.
Right.
Because that kind of explains things. And at least in the previews, I don't know how much else they go, because honestly, I'm sure I saw Terminator 3 a bazillion years ago, but I have not seen the last few, or the last N, where N is, I'm pretty sure, more than 1.
Yes, there are at least 2 more. And I liked one of them. I think it was Terminator Genesis, where they go back in... anyways, they mess with time, because that's what you do in Terminator. All right, so...
Yeah. I would say my recommendation is watch 1 and 2, and then go to see Dark Fate. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, my only concern with 1 is, so it's actually on Amazon Prime right now with commercials. And so I started watching through it. Yeah, Amazon Prime now, different, so it's sponsored by IMDb.
Okay.
And so there are IMDb commercials in the middle of it. I guess that's a one way Amazon Prime is paying for. Anyways, if you go to your Amazon Prime account, search for Terminator, you could watch it. And so I started watching it, and it's pretty bad. Just in terms of a movie, and there's a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger butt. So maybe I almost want to see if I could find a copy and do some.
You want a clean flicks
version?
Pull
out some clips and show her some clips. Say here's how this introduced, as opposed to showing her the entire movie. Because I remember 2 was a lot more fun, a lot more lighthearted, I think. So 2, I think, would be easy to show. 1, I kind of skimmed through it, fast forwarding, trying to remember, are there key scenes I should show her? And it's really not that great a movie.
One of those things that doesn't age well. We were we were over at a friend's house the other day, or they were over here, I think, and they mentioned the mini-series from the 90s called The Stand. Did you ever see that? Which both Shirley and I think it was from the 90s. Anyway, both Shirley and I loved it. And we were like, oh, man, that was a fantastic miniseries. MOON, that spells moon. I mean, that's something we even still do, however long now it is later. And we both enjoyed the book as well. But, the person who was over was like, yeah, have you seen that miniseries lately? And we're like, nope. She's like, maybe don't. Evidently she had started watching it with her husband and was like, kind of forgot how awful or, bad the production values kind of were. But it had a really young Rob Lowe and, what's her name? 16 Candles. Red hair. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, of course. Now I can't.
Yeah, sorry, I messed you up. Anyway, it was a long time ago, and so just recently, somebody was like, "Yeah, maybe not. You should let that live on in your memories." Yeah. Okay. Well, this should end.
Molly
this
Ringwald.
should end the Molly Ringwald.
There you go.
Thank you. This should end the movie review, the 90s movie review portion of our show.
At least until the end, we can talk about Spider-Man.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, got some follow-up?
So I have just a quick note on the Yubico, the Yubikeys. They're my favorite.
Yes.
Little toys that I do like. There was, and I've had, it's a few weeks old now, but there was an issue with some Yubikeys that was causing them to be able to create predictable keys so that if you used it enough times, someone could predict what the key was. And these were their FIPS certified versions, which are the government ones. The idea behind the Yubikeys was with the FIPS certification that you could use them for government things, and they found some flaws in them, so they're replacing them for free. It doesn't affect any of the other Yubikeys that you may or may not have, but just a quick note that even cool security hardware things that I really like can occasionally have flaws.
Security is so hard. It is so hard. Just as somebody who's been in the business for honestly, getting on close to 20 years nowadays. It's eternal vigilance, and it's better to be able to adapt than it is to presume perfection. So
just assume there's going to be a flaw and plan for have a contingency plan. Yeah.
So, hey, somewhat related to security is hard, but it's even harder if you don't try. There's a follow-up for the D-Link had a settlement with the federal government to actually implement a security policy for their routers. So I feel like we talked about that a long time ago. And we've certainly talked about IoT devices a number of times, but this link that we'll post in the show notes here was a settlement for a 2017 lawsuit that where the government brought that accused them, the company, of misrepresenting the security of its devices and ignoring vulnerability reports. The remedy for this is that they have to actually have a security program, basically, perform threat modeling, review source code for vulnerabilities before releasing products. And let's see, I'm scanning through this list here, but warning device owners that a specific model has ceased receiving security updates at least 60 days before the company decides to stop support. And a process for accepting vulnerability reports from security researchers, and implementing an automatic firmware update mechanism. Anyway, there's a bunch of things in here that are sort of what D-Link agreed to do. And then there was also like a comment at the very bottom of the article that said in 2016 the FTC reached a similar settlement with ASUS, which agreed to 20 years of security audits after it also failed to secure its routers. But
yeah,
the funny thing I thought when I read that was, ASUS implemented an automatic firmware upgrade for its motherboards that was distributing malware a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So security is hard.
Yeah. But I like the bullet list there of things they should do, because that's generally just good practice for anyone who's releasing IoT devices. The days where you sell the hardware and move on are long gone once you start cramming software in it.
Yeah, and that you're right. That is a good, reasonable start. If you were doing all of those things even moderately well, you'd be ahead of the game for sure. Anyway, so that was my kind of semi follow-up, not exactly from the last week or two, but
all right. Well, I can jump into my topic. Mine caught my eye this week. Is the title of the article is China is forcing tourists to install text-stealing malware at its border.
I saw that article.
So
I didn't actually read it, but I saw the title and summary.
So the idea is, and they're not being sneaky about it, if you're a foreigner and you're crossing into the Chinese borders of just a specific region, it's not everywhere in China, it's just the Xinjiang. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But they are collecting, let's see, what is it? So when you get to the border, they ask for your phone, and then they take your phone, basically sideload an app onto it, and that app goes and collects all the calendar entries, phone contacts, call logs, text messages, uploads them to a server, and
wow.
Then it also scans your phone to see what apps are installed and extracts your usernames for some of those apps. And it doesn't try to hide itself. It leaves an icon on your home screen. So I guess the idea is after you're done, you can delete it. But
wow.
The after they had, this was in Vice. The article is in Motherboard. Joseph Cox wrote this article, and then after he had published this piece, a number of antivirus firms who have mobile devices immediately started flagging that app as malware. So, not a whole lot to say about this other than
wow.
I've heard different kinds of things along these lines. Like I think coming into the U.S., foreigners are asked to give their social media account names.
Mm-hmm.
As part of the questionnaire for coming into the U.S. So another surveillance state idea, but it was a good article.
Wow.
So, and that's all I have to say about that.
What do they do on the iPhone? Did it say? I haven't read the article. Sorry.
Well, they can't do anything on the iPhone. So the article actually mentions the iPhone, and it says that there were apparently machines that appeared to be searching iPhones at the border, but side-loading apps on iPhones are it's a little bit it's a different beast. So, anyways, go read that one for political. For the political angle, you have to go read the article. But
yeah.
Anyways,
I saw the title, but I haven't read it, so I'll have to go read that.
Yeah.
I also chose kind of a malware for my main topic. I have a somewhat small topic afterwards too, but mine was a piece of Mac malware called CrescentCore.
Macs don't have malware on them. Come on.
Oh, that's right. They don't. No. I use Mac every day, and I made no secret of it. I'm a longtime Unix guy. I like having a real terminal, like having a bash shell. Although these days, so does Windows. I have to say, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. But anyway, so this is a piece of Trojan, I guess, that is called CrescentCore. It is distributed as a disk image and looks as if it's a Flash update. And in fact, in the sites that are distributing it is portrayed in some places that, hey, you need a new version of Flash.
You're stepping on another one of my pet peeves.
Yeah. Jump to a little bit later in my notes.
Sorry.
I had to use Flash last week.
I'm sorry.
Right? It's kind of bizarre. But yeah, I literally was actually for a app essentially I had to go to, and I had to do what I needed to do, and I go to the page and it says you have to enable your Flash player. I was like,
no, I don't.
What? I have to what? What year is this? So I literally did. I actually was like, wait, what? I looked a bit to see if I could get around it. I didn't figure out a way around it when the app you're using. Surely they must be frantically scrambling, because Flash is Adobe's taking Flash out of support in 2020, which is, sometime between 6 and 18 months, I guess. If they have actually a real date in 2020, I don't know what it is. But anyway, I was a little frustrated the other day when that happened. A little pissed. Anyway, so there was one of the comments in this thing is that, as a general rule, nobody should be installing Flash Player in 2019, not even the real legitimate one.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty funny. But so this is a Trojan, and one of the interesting things about this is that it exhibits some evasion behaviors, both for trying to determine whether or not it's running inside a VM. And so that's generally to try to avoid being analyzed in a sandbox. That's a relatively common behavior by malware, is to see if it's being run under a debugger or under virtualization, and alter its behavior. That's also a suspicious thing to look at as an indicator too. But and then the other thing is to see whether or not there's any AV installed on the Mac. So it said what did it say? If the malware determines it's running within a VM environment or with anti-malware software present, it will simply exit and not proceed to do anything further. Otherwise, it will either install a rogue software called Advanced Mac Cleaner, or a malicious Safari browser extension. So it didn't actually say, or if it did, I missed it, that it was the browser extension would have been for adware or trying to, sniff passwords.
Well, so I was going to ask. I read through the article, and I don't know what the goal is of it. I mean, I know it's a Trojan. I know it installs other software, but are they trying to sniff passwords? Did I just miss that part?
They didn't say.
What are they trying to do with it?
I didn't catch it. If I didn't notice anything in there for that, but I think that there's certainly not as much malware on the Macs as Windows even today, but I guess I'm not personally involved with data that says whether or not it's increasing, but I feel like the anecdotal kind of news articles that I read seems like it's little more common. Although, Apple has a pretty good, it's called Gatekeeper, right?
Yep.
Software defaults, let's say, that prevents you from running unsigned software, prevents you, and they have their, the equivalent of a whitelist or a blacklist that says, this stuff isn't allowed to run, and anything that's identified, they'll put and distribute content out to all Macs. But that was the last point that I had kind of pulled out of this, is that the malware is signed. So
right.
It's
by
using
legitimate developer IDs.
Yeah, exactly. It's using legit developer IDs. So
no longer legitimate, I assume, but yeah.
Yeah, I presume not. But if you can get a signature, then a sig check. If you can get a signature relatively easily, then a signature check for validity is not sufficient.
Yep.
So that was. That I thought was interesting. Okay, you ready for my partial topic?
Yeah, and it creeps me out. This one really creeps me out.
So you've heard of deepfakes?
Yes.
I'm sure other people have heard of deepfakes. I don't think we've spoken about deepfakes that much on the podcast, although I feel like we've referred to them a couple of times. A deepfake is a video where the video is made to make it sound like the person is saying or doing something that they didn't actually do in real life. So
not just saying. I guess that may have been implied. It's not just the audio; it's the video.
Right.
The video of the person. It looks like they are speaking and talking, and it's all fake, but it looks legitimate. Right.
The general face movements and mouth movements are made to match. And there's been a bunch of research. If people haven't, I feel like this has been pretty mainstream. I feel like I've seen it on the mainstream media a couple of times where, there was a Mark Zuckerberg video just a couple of weeks ago that was released kind of in sort of a protest that, because Facebook had said that they wouldn't take down deepfake videos, and so somebody or a group did a video of Mark Zuckerberg saying things that Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't say. And then there was also, if you didn't see it, it was called what's it called? It's like low image count deepfakes. Sorry, I don't remember the name of the paper I read, but they were doing something with a very small number of images, including all the way down to one. So with even just a single still image, they could do, they could make it look like the person is talking. And it does, especially with the low number of images, it doesn't look perfect yet. But with that, you could see there was a video of the Mona Lisa talking. And I saw a video of, I forget who the portrait was, but it was an old black and white portrait singing a Beyonce song.
Hey, it's Harry Potter.
What?
And the talking paintings.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
There you go.
Talking. Well, exactly. So, what does all this have to do with this? iOS 13 is actually releasing, it's in beta 3, is actually releasing a feature. I cannot even believe this is real. And I feel like I'm getting punked. But iOS 13 is releasing a feature called FaceTime Attention Correction. You've done FaceTime?
It just creeps me out. Yes.
Okay. Well, we haven't even said what it is yet. Stop being creeped out. Hold on. You've done FaceTime. We do video conferencing all the time. I actually often do it with my laptop off to the side, so everybody sees the side of my face. But whatever. But when you're FaceTiming, like on your phone, generally your eyes are actually looking at your screen because you're looking at the other person's face. But the camera you're not looking at the camera. And so to the other person, you look like you're not paying attention to them. You look like you're looking down at the screen.
Right.
And vice versa.
Like you're looking at their nose or something or whatever.
So what this is basically warping in real time your face so that it looks like you're looking at the camera. So that when you're FaceTiming with somebody, it will look like you're actually looking them in the eye instead of down at the screen.
And it's so subtle. Like just the article, the pictures, the not doing it and then doing it. Right. It's so subtle, but it's kind of creepy.
Right? Okay, so now you can say, this kind of creeps me out.
Hey, this kind of creeps me out.
So this is earlier to production than I had expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real-time eyeball manipulation.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could turn it off.
You can. Yeah, there's a setting in FaceTime.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, you can turn it off.
Okay.
But here's the thing for you. Does, and I'm sure that they don't, but should the other person be notified that you have it enabled?
I'm going to go with yeah.
Well,
no.
I would like to know that, but I'm sure that it won't be.
Yeah.
Creepy, huh?
I don't know what to say about this. Yeah. Because this one probably, okay, this is cool. but then what else do you start changing? What else do you start messing with? I mean, you've already got real-time like Snapchat filters that do all sorts of things with your face, right? The face swaps are hilarious. That some can be hilarious, some can be creepy, right? So there's all there's just I got nothing.
Get
off my lawn.
This caught me by surprise.
You kids.
This caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, something to keep an eye on.
There you go.
But I was gonna do that as my something
Literally.
fun, and then I'm like, that's not really fun. That's yeah. Anyway,
right.
That's topic worthy.
Well, I'll tell you my something fun.
Okay, what's your something fun?
Because it's not, well, actually, it is fun, but it's a website called getbadnews.com. Now, it's not what you think.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound fun.
So, it's actually an educational game to try to teach, well, all right, I'm going to ruin it, and then I'll follow up with the why I still think it's good. All right, so the game, the goal of the game is to try to collect followers by frightening or making people angry on Twitter or social media, and the more followers you can get, the higher your score, and that's how you win the game. Now, the flip side to this is it's actually a research paper that a group is doing to try to see if they can train people to spot the fake news. So the game is you're given options. Should I choose this option or this option? Which one is more fake? And you go through the whole game and you get badges for manipulation and badges for I just played the game. I scored 10,000. I'm not very good. I'm not very good at faking people out, I guess. But so I think it's fun. I think anybody should go try it. It's just getbadnews.com, and halfway through the game, it interrupts you and asks you serious questions about your thoughts on fake news, and do you feel like you actually can tell the difference between fake news? Do you feel bad about retweeting or perpetuating things that were clearly not true or that were partially true but are there mostly with language to incite people? So I think it's a clever idea. Oh, and I got to get back to the actual point that I wanted to make. So in some of the early research, what they found is that people who have been able to score high and identify the fake news, it makes them more likely to identify it in the real world. So the game is teaching them how to identify the fake stuff in the real world, and hopefully make people a little more skeptical when they see crazy tweet whatever or some crazy post somewhere, and look at it with a more critical eye. So that's my something fun. Learn how to spread fake news, and then learn how to identify it and not perpetuate it yourself in real life. So,
okay, I'll have to try it. I just clicked through a few things in there, and I think it immediately kind of dumped me into the survey to ask me real questions. So,
right, it does it pretty quick, and you can just say no, and then it will never ask you again. But
yeah, all right. Well, I'll have to go finish. I'll finish that in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, my something fun that I chose instead of AI
eyeballs
changing eyeballs was something that is, let's see, Unwired. It's remarkable. Let's see, I'm reading the title. Remarkable photos capture the light that plants emit. So let's see, what does it say? All plants reflect light, but plants also fluoresce, which means when they absorb ultraviolet light, they emit longer wavelengths visible to the human eye. So these are some photos. If you go to the link, there's a photo of a number of flowers here that are, basically taken pictures of in the dark and with super long exposure, and then tweaked with Photoshop. Although I don't quite know how much is, just kind of upping the contrast and that kind of stuff. But
it's very surrealistic.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
If you followed me on Twitter this spring, I probably posted more pictures of flowers and stuff than I did of like other things. So I like growing stuff. I mostly have a black thumb, but I'm working on trying to not kill things. I've got a couple of hanging baskets out in the back that are currently they've stopped flowering. I clearly haven't fed them enough. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm working on it because I'm going to get better. And anyway, enough about that for the moment. But anyway, I thought these pictures were fantastic, and it's not a long article. Just lays out a little bit about what he does. It's called, let's see, Capturing the Glow Requires Using Ultraviolet-Induced Visible Fluorescence Photography, is what they call it. Okay, cool. So have to do it in total dark and a long exposure, but super cool. I think, let's see, hold on, I'm looking at that. The dandelion looks just crazy under that light. But I think my favorite was probably the bee balm. Oh, I didn't even... Of course it was. Duh.
Of course it was.
Whatever. But it does. It looks cool. Do you see it? It's photo number 2 on the reel. It's cool.
All right, so we going to spoil Spiderman for people?
Okay. Yeah, let's talk a little bit of Spiderman. but just in case there are spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, we'll give you to the count of 5, and you can hit stop. And don't listen to the rest.
and if you... Sorry. I was going to make a joke about if you haven't already hung up by now, but then, of course, it's not hanging up, and you wouldn't know because you'd have already stopped listening. So
that's very true. Well, everybody who can't hear this, please raise your hand.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So you saw Spider-Man last night. I saw Spider-Man earlier this evening.
So overall, I went with daughter number 1, who is a big fan of Spider-Man in general, and her friend and my boy, and we had a great time.
Daughter number 2 didn't go?
No, she's not much of a movie person. Neither is my wife. They're not really into the movie things, which is fine.
Yeah, sure.
No.
I would say that it started slow, like but it about the middle of the movie it picked up and really started going well. But it was I thought the first maybe 20 minutes, half hour was relatively rough for a Marvel movie.
Yeah, and there were a couple scenes like the where he gets the glasses and gets Edith. Yeah. And then he kills Brad. Like, that's okay. I suppose that's a little funny, but that was a little too much for me. But I did like the whole Nick Fury shooting his buddy and people keeping coming in and interrupting him.
Yeah, that was
it did pick up.
That was pretty funny. That reminded me a little bit of Thor Ragnarok. The sort of comedic timing and sort of
right
self-awareness of the just somewhat the absurdity, but it doesn't hurt. Or it doesn't hurt that we actually watched Ragnarok last night. I think it was last night. Might have been the night before. My kids, they're on they're on summer break, so in the evenings it's like, well, you want to watch a movie? Okay, yeah. What do you want to watch? And so,
and the thing too is, I knew Mysterio was kind of the bad guy, but I didn't realize, none of the previews, if you didn't know that from the comic books, you would not have known that from any of the previews that I saw. Correct. So that was like, for my boy, he was like, oh, he's a bad guy, So
like right away or
no
afterwards.
When he discovered
he was caught. Yeah.
In the movie that he's a bad guy, my boy's like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did know he was a villain, so I was like, maybe that probably didn't help with the getting me as engrossed as I might have been otherwise in the because I was like, oh, what's he gonna do, and how how is this helping, and
right, because you're really led to believe you're only an hour into the movie, and for all intents and purposes the movie is over, right? Spider-Man and Mysterio defeat the whatever, the elementals, and Spider-Man says, I just want to be a 16-year-old boy, and turns over everything to Mysterio, and then the movie really gets going.
Right.
The other thing that so I liked when he got inside the illusion and is jumping from drone to drone to drone to drone. I started to get lost when 8 million drones are all firing at him and can't hit him to save his life. And it's like
he's got the Peter Tingle.
The Peter Tingle, which saved him at the end. And then you have to watch I don't know if we want to spoil the after credit scenes, but there's definitely going to be a third Spider-Man, and now it's really going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, but I can buy the Spider-Man. He's got the reflexes. He's got the reflexes.
Well, I don't know. There's got to be at least one stray accidental bullet gets him.
Yeah.
With the amount of tracers that are going by, one of them's going to hit him.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It was a great scene, hopping from one to the other.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a good job of explaining why he had no help too. In the after scene, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I actually, like, from watching the trailer, I thought that they were gonna go to the other Earth for whatever reason. Like, I was like, huh.
Yeah, well, that's the two things there is my boy was also like, so is there a multiverse or is there not?
Right.
Because it was fake, so is there really one or not?
Right. And if there were, they wouldn't be numbered. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, as it turns out, that made more sense than I expected it to. I was kind of wondering how they were gonna tie those together, because they've
right.
kind of, in the last 5 movies gone from, Earth's mightiest heroes to, oh crap, there's a whole galaxy full of peoples and planets and everything else. Mm-hmm. And then to go to 11 and say, now there's a multiverse, and it seemed a little far. A little too much of a stretch. So, but I definitely enjoyed it. I'm sure I'm good for another viewing at some point in the theaters, probably.
Yep, my wife actually does want to see that one. She just we had a ticket for her, but she had something else come up last night, so she wasn't able to go, which my daughter was like, no problem, I will go with you again. So I'm sure we will see it again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. It was good. A lot of fun.
All right. Well, yep.
Highly recommend.
Very much enjoyed. All right. Now shall we call it a show?
Yeah. Like our first ever after show, and we talk about movies. We could start a new podcast called the Accidental Movie Review Podcast.
I watch enough movies, I guess. I don't think I would be a good movie critic, though, because I'm not very critical. I totally go to the movies. I shut my brain off, and I'm just there to enjoy it. I'm not ripping apart the plot holes or stuff.
Exactly.
Mostly, were the explosions good? Awesome.
Exactly. Which most people, if they stayed to listen for the last 9 minutes, are probably like, "Yeah, this wasn't a review of the movie at all."
Yeah,
this was just somebody spoiling it. That's all good. It was a fun movie. Go see it.
It was a fun movie. Okay. All right. Now we'll really end it.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.